Okay, so we're gonna watch the trailer, and I have these in order. What I was doing mostly was ordering these in the series of which it happened in the trailer. So I'm basically doing an analysis video live. Ooh, fancy. Okay, so we're gonna start. Okay, first of all, here is Link. Ooh, this is Link, right? In my list, I call him Champion Link, or Champ Link, right? So at the very beginning, Champ Link gets malice on his arm. Okay, that's important because in the last trailer, he gets like that green stuff, or the green energy on his arm. So a lot of things are happening to his arm in this one little spot. This is where he meets, or where he sees Ganon in the cave in the first trailer, right? And in that span of time, in that short span of time, he gets both malice on his arm and the green energy, right? When he gets the green energy, he does not have the Master Sword, and what's important here is I think this is the Master Sword, like this is like the hilt. So this happens before he gets the green stuff on his arm, because there's the Master Sword, and this is likely why we don't have the Master Sword in the game, or in the trailer we didn't see him use the Master Sword. This is probably where he drops it. Here is, I assume, Ganondorf, right? Let's just say it's Ganondorf. If you look, a lot of people have pointed this out. We pointed this out last time. He's got holes in his hands. But if you really look, it's not just a hole in his hand. It's the same pattern as, like, the Guardian, like, markings on everything. Yeah, he has, like, the Guardian markings. See this? Like, all the grooves and stuff and, like, the holes. So he's, like, got, like, some... Oh, I just thought of something. Okay, I think I know why. Hold on to that thought. I think I know why. Hold on to that. Oh, I just thought of something. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on to that thought. And now we gotta get back to... Oh man, I jacked this up. How do I make this smaller? Okay. Whee! There we go. We're doing this live. Okay, we're on to the next thing. I just dropped my phone. This is going swimmingly. At least you can at least see that I found some stuff, right? Like I wouldn't make this presentation if I didn't find a bunch of cool stuff. All right, we got Zelda falling down. I think, at least for this portion of the game, I think Zelda is lost. Like, not necessarily dead, but like presumed dead, which is not the same thing as dead. Like when you don't see a character die on screen, you know what I mean? They're not dead, right? That's usually how it goes. But I think at this point, Link fails to save Zelda because she goes way too far down for any arm to reach, right? So, you know, she's not really in the rest of the trailer. You know, I just kind of think Link didn't... I think he reaches down to grab her. I think he succeeds, but I think he then fails, right? So, sorry everybody. I think in order to play just as Link and get that same feeling of exploration by yourself, I think you can only play as one character, and I think this might be the setting in which she is lost. Maybe the catalyst for the game, right? Okay, so there she is. Or there she was. There she was. She's no longer here. She's lost in the underground ruins. Yeah, you know, that's what I kind of think, is that, like, if she, you know, like, maybe we'll see some scenes where she's, like, exploring and, like, learning things, right? But, like, I feel like that's later on in the game. I think the game wants us to think, like, she's lost. Or if she is lost, it causes things to happen. So this scene right here parallels Link waking up in the first game, right? So I don't know if he becomes unconscious at some point, or the game, like, does start in the air or something. But this mimics the very, very beginning when it's like, wake up, Link! Wake up! Okay, so clearly there's some, like, Skyward Sword parallels happening right now. So, like, it's... I said near the beginning of the stream that, like, we shouldn't look so hard for connections, but Breath of the Wild takes from, like, 1,000 different Zelda games, right? Like, there is no game that's off limits to Breath of the Wild. This is very clearly Skyward Sword vibes, right? And Skyward Sword is, like, the first, like, really, like, all-encompassing lore game, right? Like, you know, Ocarina of Time connects to... Wind Waker connects to Ocarina of Time. You know, Majora's Mask connects to Ocarina of Time. Twilight Princess has Ocarina of Time connections, right? But, like, a lot of them kind of are, like, if they have connections, it's very, very much to, like, one or two games. Skyward Sword's, like, the first, like, oh, we're establishing the Zelda lore. Like, oh, like, the umbrella of the Zelda lore, right? And then Breath of the Wild's kind of doing that by hitting a big reset button, right? Like, it's so far removed that they're kind of giving themselves the opportunity to, like, hit a giant reset button. So, like, they could be incorporating Skyward Sword stuff into here. To what extent, I don't know. But it's very clear this is, like, Skyward Sword vibes, right? Again, we're not here to confirm things. We're just here to, like, recognize something and then move on. You can see right now that his hair is flowing in the wind. Many people suggest that Link has longer hair, and I get where they're coming from, but generally I think his hair is the exact same as it was at the beginning of the trailer. I think he just doesn't have a ponytail. I think that's it. A lot of people are like, oh, his hair is this way because of X and X, like, you know, years have passed, or it's a different time frame, or it's a different Link, or whatever. I think he just took out his ponytail. I think this is just a different armor set. I think he just took out his ponytail. I think that's all it is to it. Again, we try to keep not our expectations down, but, like, we try to be a little bit reasonable. Not every single thing can have meaning. Not to say that I'm right. I might be completely wrong. Yeah, I might be entirely wrong. But I'm just saying, like, it seems more reasonable that he just took out his ponytail. Like, his hair is that long, right? As is, just with a ponytail. Link actually drops from higher than the sky platforms, right? So, like, where did he drop from? That's something interesting to think about. The thing is, the platforms are at different heights. So, like, he could just be falling from a different platform. He could have been, like, launched up from a platform and then falling down. Like, he could have been, you know, maybe there's loft wings, right? Maybe he scanned the loft wing amiibo and a loft wing showed up, just like the wolf Link showed up with the Twilight Princess amiibo, right? Maybe he took a cart and used magnesis and then grabbed another cart and then used magnesis on the bottom cart and then floated up on his flying machine because he watched a YouTube video, and now he's above all of the floating platforms, and then he jumped off and then he's floating down. We don't know. You know, we just don't know, right? We can't think too into it, but we can't rule anything out. He's high up in the air, but where does he fall from? I don't know. But it is interesting to point out. All right, his shoulder cloth has, like, a tail on it. Okay, that could be anything. But I have a feeling that is a lizard or, like, a snake or, like, a dragon, because it's green, and green in Breath of the Wild is very much associated with the, like, you know, like, they got, like, the green glow or whatever, like the Zonai tribe, right? Like a ghosty kind of green. When you die, there's, like, ghost energy. The Lunar Stones use ghost energy. Hopefully a lot of you guys are caught up on, like, the Zelda theories. If you know anything about the Zonai, I'm kind of assuming you know a little bit about them. They're basically where you see all those, like, stone architecture, like ancient civilization stuff that was there long before everybody else. They're into magic and stuff like that, right? I imagine, since this game heavily leans into the Zonai stuff, I imagine this is Zonai garb. And the Zonai are big into reptiles, as we'll see later on in the trailer. And so I assume what is on his sleeve is reptilian, because the Zonai are into it. So at the beginning, if you look, Ganon is wearing that, like, sash thing across his arm, right? And, like, his skirt thing down here, right? It's quite close to the outfit that Link is wearing right here, right? They're twinning, yes. All right, so they're wearing the same clothes, and people take that as in they're the same character. I see where they're coming from. I don't necessarily agree. I think this is just Zonai garb. When you go into the desert with the Gerudo ladies, I forget what that town's called, you wear their clothes, right? Like when you go into, wow, I'm forgetting all of the town names. You know, when you go into the Sheikah town, you wear Sheikah clothes. When you go into the Hylian town, you wear, like, the hood, right? Gerudo village, right? Gerudo town, whatever. Listen, you try being the one giving everyone a presentation, okay? You know, when you interact with the Zonai areas, you're wearing the Zonai clothes. So if anything, I think that's more of a representation of what was going on with Ganondorf back in the day, right? Why was he wearing Zonai clothes, right? Like, I think that's worth thinking about. Like, why are you wearing Zonai clothes and not Gerudo clothes? What's the story behind that? So another thing, this is where we're zooming in. We all know that he's got like this corrupted arm now, right? He's got like this jacked up Princess Mononoke arm. I want to point out that his arm looks a little like this. Ooh, interesting. If you remember, I mentioned a little bit back, he's got like those guardian patterns. Well, if you think about it, if we're all talking Zonai stuff, isn't it interesting that a lot of the Zonai stuff also looks like guardian stuff, but like earlier? I have a feeling a lot of like the ancient Sheikah tech is like recreations of Zonai stuff, but like technology versions of them instead of magic. I think ancient Ganondorf likely had a similar arm thing going on to Link over here. And then when this like dries off or whatever, Link is gonna have those same type of holes or something like that. Again, I'm not confirming anything because there's gonna be something later on that doesn't add up with that. I'm just saying like his arm looks like a guardian arm. It's Zonai stuff. Ganon has a similar arm situation, but not all Zonai stuff looks like Guardian stuff. Only some of it does. So like, I'm not sure. These are just pieces. I don't know how they go together. Remember, we're not confirming things. We're just recognizing pieces that we see. So he's got winter boots on. So again, what I was talking about, I think his last outfit, this one, is just outfit stuff, like armor or whatever, different armor stuff. Is because this is like the summer sandal version. And this one's the winter version. Sandals? Winter. Sandals? Winter. Summer, winter. Summer, winter. That's why I think his hair is just the Zonai hair. Like when you get the Gerudo hair, it's like up in a bun, which I'm a big fan of. Okay, so Mr. Blue pointed this out to me. There's a big theory online right now that this is Ganondorf. We're playing as Ganondorf in the past. That's the big theory. Well, if you look, that's some pointy ears. That's some Hylian ears. Just because we can't see his face doesn't mean we can't see some features. And that, to me, looks like some Hylian ears, not some round Gerudo ears. I don't know if that's typical of Gerudos, but Ganondorf has round ears. Look at those round, not pointy ears. So, deconfirmed. Deconfirmed. So thank you, Mr. Blue. I appreciate that. Okay, so this is a new eye symbol, right? We've got like this new eye symbol. I'm not sure what to make of it. So the Zonai symbol, let's bring that up. There is the Zonai symbol. Okay. The one that like has been shown so many times, and it's like, this is the Zonai symbol for sure. I haven't seen that at all in any of this. I don't think I mean, like maybe someone has found it on like a rock or something. I think it's in well, it's kind of in this trailer. There's a lot of spirals in this trailer. There's a lot of, like, in the old trailer, there's Zonai markings on the walls. But in this trailer, outside of the spirals, like actual spirals, not the symbol spiral, I haven't found a lot of it in this trailer. That being said, all of the Zonai-related stuff, and it is Zonai-related. It might not be Zonai, but it's Zonai-related. At least it's Zonai-adjacent. All has this eyeball stuff. I don't know where this eye is from. What is interesting, though, it just doesn't totally make sense. It doesn't add up in the same way, but also I don't think they would do the exact same thing twice. The Sheikah have the Yiga as like the bad guys, right? So like maybe this is the bad guy Zonai. It's not like an inverted spiral, right? Also, it's on a lot of the good things, I think. So like it's not totally associated with bad things. I think like again, it's just like we're recognizing that it's there and that it's not the spiral. What it is, I don't know. Still, we just have to recognize that this is not the same symbol, right? I think both are associated with the Zonai, or some Zonai-related thing, but it's not the same symbol, okay? That being said, there are a lot of reused aspects of this game that were in the concepts of the original Breath of the Wild. Well, for instance, the parasail is a reused idea from the concepts, okay? The parasail that you see right there is a reused idea. The tassels, to show kind of like wind direction, is a reused idea from the original Breath of the Wild 1 concepts. So they are taking Breath of the Wild 2 as a chance to reuse concepts, which we'll talk about later. But one of the reused concepts that an interview talked about was this. Bear with me, bear with me. This, again, we're not confirming stuff. We're just talking about it, okay? We're just talking about it. We're just recognizing that it's a possibility. We're not confirming anything. During the GDC press conference, Fujibayashi expressed regret at not being able to include the concept in the final game. I skipped a sentence. An abandoned concept for the game included small villages with Minish-like people. Fujibayashi expressed regret at not being able to include the concept in the final game. I assume they had that talk a little bit before they decided to make another game. Because I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but they talked about how Breath of the Wild 2 came from them having so many DLC ideas that they just like basically like gave in and be like, let's just make a sequel, right? So I think there's this little bit of a grace period where they released ideas that they couldn't make put into the game, that then they went, backtracked and were like, oh, actually, let's just put it in the game now with Breath of the Wild 2. The reason I bring up the Minish is, first of all, they brought back so many ideas that we can see just in this trailer, that if you have regret for not being able to include the Minish, maybe you'll find a way to include them. Now, I don't think they're the Zonai, although, like, hey, maybe they are, right? Although all the Zonai stuff is pretty big, and it doesn't look like this architecture. I don't think they're the Zonai, but the reason I bring them up is because this is the this stained glass window represents the bad guy in the Minish Cap. If you look at the shield, it's got that same kind of half-closed, eye-rolling back vibe to it. Now, I do not think it's Vati. I want to make that clear. I genuinely don't think it's Vati. It doesn't make any sense for Vati, who is a Minish, or even the Minish, right? It doesn't make any sense for the Minish to have a bunch of, like, tall buildings, right? Because they're tiny, right? So, like, it already does not add up, but this game is already using a bunch of old concepts, so I think there's a good chance the Minish show up. And if the Minish show up, why wouldn't Vati have some, callback or some Easter egg or whatever? Like, in Breath of the Wild, they have Loftwing statues, they have, Ocarina of Time, Temple of Time, like, they have a ton of callbacks, right? So if you're gonna include the Minish, it's kind of weird that you also have an eye that looks like Vati. Okay, the glider tassels, we were starting to talk about that. That's a reused concept from the concept art, and might indicate wind direction. I wonder if... I was thinking about that. There's some gates. Yeah, there's some gates up in the top right, okay? There's also gates kind of like at the edges of these islands, which we'll see, I think, in a later scene. I wonder if you take your glider and maybe you can kind of scout for, like, gusts of wind. So, for instance, if you go to the gate and you can, like, jump off, there's like a wind path that it can, like, take you up to the next island, right? Because it'd be super inconvenient to go from one island to, like, an island just a little bit that direction. Because if you think about it, when you're gliding, you go down, right? So if you need to go to an island straight across, I wonder if you can just, like, through the gates, take a gust of wind and, like, fly up. So then kind of an indication of that is when you, like, are there that the wind direction's heading that direction, right? Yeah, so here's the gate that I'm talking about. I wonder if you, like, go up to here and then, like, jump off, if it, like, takes you up to... Oop, no, right here. See it? There's another gate right here. I wonder if you're, like, floating from gate to gate, right? Because, like, they're at the edges of these islands. About these gates, though. At first, I was like, are these, like, wings? Kind of like the goddess wings or, like, the Loftwing wings. But I think I found an answer as I watched a little bit further. Let's finish this section, and then I'll show you more stuff. Also, like, the golden trees. Like, whenever you're in these, like, sky areas, it's golden trees, right? Keep that in mind. I think we'll bring that up later. So it's very obvious when you're, like, in the sky areas. And as you can see, these are higher up than where you are now. So at the beginning of the trailer, right, this part, we're like, how is he so far up? He might just be from a higher island, right? There might not be a Loftwing. He could just be from a higher island jumping down. All right, so this guy, this is gonna, maybe it blew my mind when I realized, so maybe it won't be for you. Okay, so if you look, at the bottom here, he's got that Zonai glow, right? And we're calling him Zonai. We're just assuming it's Zonai. And I'll explain why I really think it's Zonai. This actually kind of, I think, proves that this is Zonai related, right? He's got that Zonai glow, right, going up. He's got that Zonai energy, the same stuff that, like, grabs Link's arm, right? He's like, wah! Then he's got, like, these two big things, these artichokes, right? Which I think you can actually see. Yeah, you can see right here and right here at the entrance of this shrine, right? You can see these little artichoke things. Those are important, which I'll get to in a second. And then he's got, like, kind of like a, people kept saying, like, frog face, lizard face. I think I know what it actually is. I think some people mentioned this, but I can further prove it in a second. So, like a reptilian face, right? Funky lizard guy. Yeah, there you go. He's got that I don't think it's Vati, right? But he's got that rolling in the back of your head kind of eye thing going on, right? And then you can kind of see it here, like here's the eye and then here's the eyelashes. I wonder if the Sheikah like based themselves off the Zonai or something like that, or like an offshoot of the Zonai, like a more technologically savvy offshoot of the Zonai. They've all got this eye iconography going on. Okay, so this is my discovery. Okay, there's two parts to this. This is a dragon. Do you know why it's a dragon? I'm gonna give you guys a second. Do you know why this is a dragon? I want to see if you guys see what it is. Look close. Look, think outside the box. There's a big hint. Scales? I mean, but lizards, right? Okay, so watch its motion. And then, like, where is it going right now? What direction is it going? Down. Now, what would happen if it went all the way down? What would happen to the entirety of its body? Like, if he connected, what would happen? What would he look like all of a sudden? A crab? No. I mean, maybe it kind of looked like a crab, a pillar. Yeah, but like, if you connect the top part, oh, someone's kind of said it. Okay, I'm just gonna spoil it. I'm gonna spoil it because I don't know. I'm just gonna spoil it. I want you to look at its waist. I want you to look at its waist and tell me what you see in its waist. What is that right there? Other than the button. Ignore the button. Look outside of the button. What's surrounding the button? What are those? Fangs. There we go. Yeah, it's his teeth. When you see the dragon statues all over, they've got those fangs hanging out. Like the ones that like cross. Isn't that sick? So if you let his body connect, or if you were like to turn him off or whatever, right? You're gonna unplug him. If he was to like go all the way down, his eyeballs and nose would connect to the mouth. Right? Right? So now, who do we know? Who do we know that's a big fan of dragons? I don't know. Maybe some of you guys don't know this because not everyone in here knows the different cultures of Breath of the Wild. Zonai, there you go. Zonai are a big fan of dragons. So he's got that eye iconography. That's why I said it's definitely like Zonai related or adjacent if it's not Zonai exactly. Like a variation of Zonai if it's not just the same Zonai. So it's got that eye iconography. But it's clearly dragon inspired. Here's the other thing though. Here's the other thing. So I found this out second. There's another and this is something no one's figured out. And I've watched so many lore videos kind of to see where everyone else was at, and also kind of to like, you know, kind of have like a one-way conversation where like I have my ideas, they have their ideas. Maybe their ideas will spark something. This is the big thing. I did not see this until I was doing my list. And it like, I was like, oh, this is totally Zonai stuff. Like I already knew, but like I knew after I found this. Right? There is one other dragon hint in this trailer. Oh, no, go back. In this part of the trailer that like blows the doors wide open on this being Zonai stuff. I want you guys to see if you can find anything. He has big claw. No. It has nothing to do with him. I think that might have been too much information. I think I tipped you guys off too much by saying that. Has nothing to do with him or her. I think I tipped you off too much by saying that. The stones on the right. What about the stones on the right? What do they look like to you? Big meaty claws? No. Oh, is the dragon looking teeth on the right? Oh, we all thought, I mean, like, it is still an entrance to a shrine. But if you look, hey, there we go. Fangs. Look at this. This is the front of a dragon's mouth. Right here. Here is like the teeth, right? And this is the fangs at the end, and this is his nose. It's his mouth. So that means, I bet this is like an entrance to a shrine, right? And I bet you like literally go into a dragon's mouth. So the gateways are dragon's mouths. Exactly, exactly. Or a snake, right? It could be some, like, they're just into reptiles in general. So this is very, like, in the lore of, like, Breath of the Wild, the Zonai are super into dragons, man. They, like, worship the dragons. So to me, I mean, like, it might be a snake, right? But, like, also the dragons kind of look like snakes, right? So that was, like, the big, like, whoa. Whoa. Are the artichoke things meant to represent eggs? Okay, so maybe. But there is something about them that I figured out, which we will... They are something. I will show you what they are. But I think I have to get to a later scene. Oh, yeah, if those are the shrines... If the shrines are up here, I wonder if you still have temples down there on the ground. Because at the very first trailer... When they're finding Ganon, and this might be the exception, right? Like, Ganon's area might be a temple, and there might not be any other temples, or not temples, dungeons. Like, Ganon's, it might be like a story-only dungeon, right? Where they find Ganon, but it's an entire cutscene. It's not like a real dungeon, right? But I wonder if, like, the dungeons are, like, underground or something, and then all of the equivalents of the shrines are up in the sky, right? There might be some temples some dungeons in the sky. We'll get to that in a second. But I think those are the shrines for sure. Okay, so the moblins. They have tall horns now. All right, look at the moblins. They got tall horns. Bokoblins. Sorry. Who are the moblins? Is that Wind Waker? Bokoblins. Okay, they got horns now. Good for them. Exactly. Bokoblins come from Ganon's power. Like, whenever there's a new moon or whatever, like, the monsters come back. Right, and they got all, like, they like appear like with malice clouds or whatever, right? So, like, maybe now that Ganondorf's awake, maybe they're just stronger. There's the chance that, like, we're in some various time period, right? Like, something changed. Like, we're in a different time frame, like, we went back in time or forward in time, or just time has passed. The thing is, in this scene, you can literally see ruins, right? You can see ruins in the back, I almost said backyard. You can see ruins in the background. I think there's another one up here. Yeah, like right here, you can see more ruins, right? So this is post-Calamity. I think this is the same time frame. I know everybody wants there to be time travel. I think there might still be time travel, but from what we've seen in the trailer, I think you are at least at this point in present-day Hyrule. Or at least post-Calamity. I think, you know, there still might be time travel. I just don't think we've seen it yet. They haven't highlighted it yet, if there is. Right? There's like a, you know, 99% of the game left. I just think that this is clearly not. Unless you are only time traveling back in time for like 5 years or 10 years or something like that. This is clearly still post-Calamity. You've got the ruins. Oh, here's another thing. It's the same glider as... So we got this glider here, right? We got this glider here. But then if you look, it's the same glider. So a common theory is that it's two different links. Why would both links have the same glider? I mean, like, yeah, you can clearly, like, you know, find it, you can dig it up or something, right? But he's got the same glider, but it doesn't end there. Of course we know this link has the Zonai Robo arm. But we're like, oh yeah, but like, you know, that's the ancient link. What about the other link? Well, if you look really closely, he's got the robo arm as well. So you're clearly playing the game at this point with Champion's Tunic Link, and you got the robo arm. You're already in the middle of the game at this point. You're already, like, you know, you've already put an hour or two into the game at this point. And I don't think they're gonna do a hard separation between two characters, right? I think because, like, you can do anything at your own pace. So, like, to stop you at some point seems the opposite of what this game's going for. I think you're the same Link. That doesn't mean that, like, there aren't two Links, you know, the past one and the present one. I just think this is the same Link, right? All the Links you see through the trailer, I think it's all the same Link. You know, he's got the same length of hair, He's got the same robo arm. He's got the same glider. I think it's the same Link. What else we got in here? I mean, like, you've got, like, you know, stuff. I could point stuff out, like, oh, they're combining enemy types, you know, whatever. I'm ignoring those things that are obvious. Oh, okay, so this is Link's arm, right? And by this time, we know this is Link. I just noticed. He's got the thing that would be, oh my god. He's got, like, a circle right here where you would, like, imprint a hole in your hands, like puncturing a hole in his hand, the same kind of hole as this bro's got. Look at that, right? Maybe he's got more holes than that, but maybe he had the arm thing on longer. The point is, this is the same, like, hand that was holding down Ganon in that first trailer, right? This is the same hand that was holding down Ganon, or same type of hand. It might not be the exact same hand, right? But just like that hand, Link now has long fingernails. He's got, like, the Zonai glowy spiral patterns. Remember, the Zonai have a lot of spirally things going on. Okay. I don't know if he's, like, upgrading or healing, or what else did I have? Containing? Maybe he's containing power that was, like, growing out of control, or he's just, like, charging, right? He's like, oh, my battery's low. Let me charge my arm on this bed. This is the same sort of text that, if you go back to the first trailer, the glowy stuff is like writing text in the air, right? Same green glowy stuff, and this looks like that. So he's on a ancient Zonai bed. Here is, again, I think it's the same Link, because he's about to use his Zonai powers, his right arm powers, right? And you can even see his hand through the gloves in this section. He's about to use this to reverse time. Something just to point out real quick. Only this is being highlighted, only the spike ball. Usually when you put on a power, you can see everything in, like, the whole world that is accessible with that power. The bokoblins, or whatever you are, you can't do that to them. So that's just something interesting to think about. But you can do it to the spike ball. So you can't, like, reverse enemies. So if you look, you can see on this side, here, let me get close. His left hand, his fingers are visible. His human fingers are visible. But on the right hand, you've got his, like, see, look, you got your corrupted, jacked up arm. So he's had these powers, right? He's had these powers since he was just Champion Link. It's just the same Link. I think it really is truly the same Link. I don't think you're bouncing between two different Links. I think it's the same Link, just different outfits. Because you're already in the middle of the game at this point. And remember, you can... The point of this type of game is you can beat it right away. So they're not going to have some hard cutoff where, like, you reset and play a different thing. Not to say that you don't go back and forth in time willingly, but I feel like everything in this game has to be willingly, right? You have to willingly make the decision. He has a Zonai shield, so it's a normal shield, but he's got, like, the Zonai Dragon Breath. Again, we keep bringing up that they're big fans of dragons, right? They're big old fans of dragons. So you got the Zonai shield, and you're breathing fire like a dragon. I think these might be two separate items, because I think the shield is relatively normal. Like, I think this is, like, your regular shield. I think maybe, like, you go into your inventory and, like, slap on the dragon's breath onto your shield. And then, like, maybe when it runs out, it, like, falls off, and you still got your shield. Oh, when you pause it at a certain point, I think when he does a backflip, there we go. If you look at his mouth, it's glowing with the Zonai glow. So he's got the Zonai glow inside. That's where the magic comes from, right? Oh yeah, we're in a cave. We're in a cave. Interesting, we're in a cave. There's not a lot of those in the first game. So here's the thing. I don't know if we're in a cave underground or in the sky, because if you look, there's, like, green markings on the architecture on the inside of here. And then, if you go back to right here, ooh, that same sky architecture has those green markings at the entrance to the dragon shrine. So this might just be inside of this shrine. So, like, it might not even be a cave. It can just maybe be ruins. I'm sure there is a race up here, right? But I think they're few and far between, because it kind of makes me think, like, when we go in here, there's not a lot of, like, it's all, like, beat up and gross inside, and there's, like, a weird worm guy in there. It might not even be a cave. It might just be inside the temple, but it's, like, a jacked up temple. There's, like, a pedestal right here. I don't know what that's for, but it's in there, right? That's in there. Okay, so here's this. So this is, like, shorthand in a lot of movies for, like, time travel. Like, when you reverse time, they do, like, a puddle backwards, like a drip backwards. So I think that's, like, shorthand for reversing time. But I don't necessarily, I mean, like, you do have the power to reverse time, right? I think there's gonna be a lot of time manipulation in this, but I also think it has like a double meaning. But before we get to that, you have like a weird drip elevator. So like, first of all, you have that Zonai spiral. They do a lot of the spirals, the Zonai stuff. So their main logo is a spiral, and then you have this spiral, and then if you go to the first trailer, there's a spiral. The hand that's holding down Ganon, the energy coming out of it's a spiral. So you go up here and you basically like drip up through the entrance. I want to say this is entrance, and this is why I think it's a shrine, is because I think this is how you get from the ground up to the top. I think there's something you're going to activate at the bottom, and you're going to drip up through the sky, right? And then you're going to go through this. Like, it's all watery, right? You go through this, and I think this is the entrance to a shrine. The Breath of the Wild 2 equivalent of a shrine. Something else I want to point out. Right here, this is lit up. The little artichoke, it's glowing green. I think those are luminous stones, but like refined to look like that. And I think they might be dragon eggs. I think they are supposed to be dragon eggs, and I think this is a refined luminous stone because there's luminous stones everywhere that are like, seem to be the same power as all the Zonai magic, and it's basically like ghost powers. I think the Zonai are using ghost powers to like power up everything, like spirit energy, right? And I think that's a dragon egg because everything they're into is dragons, and it looks like an egg, and it looks like it has scale. The Zonai, I mean, like, I'm just pointing this out. I don't know what it means. All right, I'm just pointing this out. It's called ancient energy, apparently. Oh, cool. All right, there you go. Ancient energy. I mean, but like, if they were alive in ancient times, is it ancient energy? Or is it like present day energy? So if you look at the Sheikah logo, it ooh, look at me. If you look at it, it has an eye that like drips down. And then whenever you upgrade your Sheikah slate, you get a blue drip that drips into your Sheikah slate, and that's how you upgrade it. If you look at this, it's a drip, and Link drips too. He's very liquidy, but it goes up. So it's like the reverse. We're like doing the reverse of a Sheikah drip, right? So like the magic energy or the Zonai or some aspect of them is very like opposite of the Sheikah, because literally like he leaves a puddle right here. He's like coming out of ripples like in water, so he's basically doing the opposite of the Sheikah. Remember, the Guardian stuff looks like the Zonai stuff, right? Like the Sheikah tech looks like the Zonai magic, right? But it also looks very opposite. I do think it's interesting that you are dripping upward when all of the last game we were dripping downwards. Something interesting to think about. One of those things that like we're recognizing, I don't have a conclusion. So when we're up here, you can actually recognize the floor below as the little like mushroom area in Breath of the Wild, which means we could recognize where this is supposed to be in the game. The thing is, we've never seen these floating platforms before, like ever. So how did they get there? How did they get there? I've mentioned, I don't think this is a different link. I think this is the same link. We're the same link through the whole game. I also mentioned that the same ruins are there, right? Like we see the same ruins as we do before. So I don't know if just that part of the trailer we haven't time traveled yet, or if they're doing some like shenanigans where they're not showing what the ground actually looks like or what. But I think we're in present day. So if we're in present day, but we've never seen these before, and I've definitely been up in the sky before, I think they arrived some other way. The thing is, I also don't think they came up from the ground. Unless they like came out from underground and up, which is possible. They aren't like chunks of the surface normally. There is no, like, we can't find these on the surface as is right now. So they're either from deep underground and they're like messing up the terrain, or they appeared some other way. So like, are we in the future a little bit? Are we in an alternate reality? Did they appear for some other reason? Did they come up from the ground? I don't know, but I can definitely tell you they weren't there to begin with. And in this trailer later on, we'll see that we can see the sky and they're not there as well, right? There's another portion of this where we can see the sky and they're not there as well. This is big brain stuff. And this is like, I don't feel super comfortable about this, but I want to point it out. If you look, remember, the Zonai are super into dragons. They're like big dragon fans. Dragons have this ability to vanish and reappear at will. Okay, but if you look, we're going through it right now. This is probably a very bad example of it, but dragons have portals. Okay? Dragons can go through portals, although we went through it in this, so this is a very bad example. We went through it in this. I think the dragon just vanishes. I think the dragon just despawns. but they can go through portals, and you're not supposed to be able to go through the top of it. This is me cheesing it like years ago. I think the platforms, just like the dragons, I think the platforms come out of portals, right? Just like the dragons do. I think that's what it is. I think they come out of the dragon portals, because if you remember, the Zonai vanish, right? I think the Zonai went through the dragon portals. If we're going to go big brain, I think that's the key. I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but they aren't there to begin with, and then they somehow show up later, out of nowhere. I think the question then is, where did the portals go? Just in another world entirely? I'm curious about the same thing. I don't know. I mean, like, maybe that's what we find out, right? I think the sky area is the dark world of this game. So, like, people are like, oh, there's time travel and stuff like that. I think that's might be too many layers. I think there might be time manipulation and still time travel, but I don't think that's, like, the other world, right? People are like, oh, you're living two lives. There's ancient Link and, like, modern Link, or some people think it's Ganondorf. It's not, right? I think the equivalent of the other world in this game is just the sky area only, right? Not only, but mostly. Mostly is what I meant to say. So there might be a, like, sky dimension, because the dragons come from somewhere, and the Zonai are obsessed with the dragons, right? So there might be, like, a sky dimension or something that we interact with. That's maybe where the Zonai went. Okay, so Hyrule Castle. If you remember about Hyrule Castle, at the end of the game, spoilers for Breath of the Wild 1 if you haven't done it, but at the end, you fight Calamity Ganon inside of a observatory, right? But the observatory is down like a long tube. So when people say that Hyrule Castle is raising, I see that. Okay, I'm not saying I'm confident with what I'm about to say. I'm saying it's an option. And there hasn't been anything in the trailer to disprove it. I think that Hyrule Castle might be a tower. Like your classic Sheikah towers or whatever. Because there is that long tube, like, you know, like how towers are like tube shaped or whatever, right? There is that long tube that connects the observatory, which is Sheikah powered, that goes up to the top of Hyrule Castle. So if Hyrule Castle's lifting up, you either left that all behind, which is possible, or that's what lifted up with it, right? So if you lift up all of Hyrule Castle, that's going with it. If you look, you can never technically see the bottom of this, like, black pillar, right? That doesn't mean it's not like another, like, you know, like how these are like little triangle stalactites. That's not to say it doesn't, like, end right here at a point, but you can't technically see the bottom of this black part. There is this entire, the smallest image in all of the world, there is an entire structure underneath that is just a big giant tube. Unexplained, by the way. They never explain it, but it has this long giant tube right here. Here's the giant tube that goes all the way up. And if you look at this, you can never see the end of this section. No matter which scene you go to with it in, you can never see the end of that section. So, like I said, I'm not confirming that's what's happening. I'm saying that I can't deconfirm that it's happening. That's the difference. If you look, you cannot see further down. And it looks like a Sheikah tower. It looks like a Sheikah tower. I guess we never see the bottom. It just feels like something that would have been thought about when making the observatory. Okay, well, there's the thing. They thought about the DLC before the game was done. They mentioned in an interview that this was just, Breath of the Wild 2 was originally just DLC of Breath of the Wild 1. You can see Zonai stuff, which never got capitalized on, in the initial trailer. And we can go back and watch that. In the reveal trailer, like 20 years ago, when Link looked a little bit different, there's Zonai structures that, again, they never capitalized on, because I think they were planning to capitalize on it at the end, like DLC, at the end of the original Breath of the Wild, but then it became its own game. Again, I'm not saying that it's a tower. I'm saying there's a chance that it's a tower. It's like 50-50. Either that structure went up with it, because it's like attached, right? So it's it either went up with it, or there's a hole in the ground and the observatory is still underneath there. Anyways, continuing on. If you look, there is no platforms in the sky. So it's not like they retcon, like, oh, they were always there, right? Like, they didn't retcon them to be there. So they appear. Whether you travel through time to when they're there, or they show up in modern day, they are not there at this point. Another thing is, this is definitely still post-Calamity, because you can see ruins everywhere. Maybe you traveled back in time 20 years, maybe you traveled forward in time 10 years, you know, like, it's not confirmation that time travel doesn't exist. It's just at this point, there is no sky things, and this is still post-Calamity. In the trailer, there is a portion of the song that is very clearly backwards. And it took me a few tries, but I think I finally arrived at what it's referencing. So I'm going to play the video first, then I'll explain the video, and then play it again, all right? So listen carefully.
Stories of Ganon were passed from generation to generation in the form of legends and fairy tales. But there was also a prophecy.
There's my ad for my channel. As you can see, it sounds like when you play... I'll talk down here. It sounds like when you play the the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer music backwards, it sounds like the cutscene that plays when you are watching the prophecy, like the dead king of Hyrule is teaching you the prophecy of like 100 years ago, but there's a prophecy of like 10,000 years ago of like the ancient Link and the ancient Ganon, or Calamity Ganon fighting it out, right? During that cutscene, it plays a piano song called like the 100 years ago or something like that. And the backwards music in the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer sounds just like it, okay? And then at this point, it had remained unsolved. But there is backwards music in the original Breath of the Wild or Breath of the Wild 2 reveal trailer that no one could fit into anything else. And I noticed that it had the same cadence as the backwards portion of the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. So they are all kind of similar, and they all kind of hint towards that original prophecy battle between Ganon and like an ancient hero which resembles Link, right? And he kind of has that arm, that Zonai looking powerful arm, right? So go watch the original video and give it a like, so I get more than 800 views. Did it show? I don't think it showed the spiral magic. Maybe it did. Maybe it's in that. I mentioned that right there. See, it's like the spiral magic in the original trailer that goes down to the ancient Zonai arm from the ancient hero that's holding back Ganon. It's the same spiral stuff that's like on here. See, it's spirally. The logo of the Zonai is a spiral, right? When Link goes up, when he drips backwards, it's a spiral. See? See? So that's what's interesting. They've clearly kept the spiral stuff, but then when you look at this Zonai stuff, it's this eye symbol instead, which is shared with the Zonai Dragon Golem. Right here's the upside down eye thing. But that also has the spiral Zonai stuff. So clearly these are both like Zonai powered, right? Or ancient energy powered, but like they have two different symbols. That's super interesting to me. Almost done. Oh, actually, no, that's it. That's all of the points. Now we're gonna talk about discussion topics, okay? I forgot to show this. Let's see if I can't get it. I'll go to my Twitter. I posted on Twitter. There's this. They brought this back. They've clearly brought back like the Guardian arm kind of concept, right? Like that's like, it doesn't look like this. Although it might look like that as time goes on. But at the moment, it does not look like this. But see how it has like those same holes? Remember how I showed that Ganondorf has like the Guardian shaped grooves in his arm? Just like this, and the holes in the same spot? It looks just like this. And it's multiple holes. It's not just one hole, it's multiple holes in the same sense. Like, look at Link's concept art leg. It's got those grooves in the holes everywhere. Even on his arm and his eye, it's got those same type of grooves. But the Guardian tech is so similar. The Sheikah Guardian tech is so similar to the Zonai, but Zonai's magic-based, and then Sheikah is technology-based. Let's move on to the next topic. Okay, well, actually, the first topic. We haven't talked about any of them. First topic. which is not going to hold a lot of discussion. It just doesn't fit anywhere into the trailer. There's a reason they're not showing humans or races. The first time they didn't show races was just to, like, not spoil the game. I think they, like, removed a lot of different stuff from, I think maybe the demo, right? So you couldn't see, it just basically to avoid spoilers. They, like, basically pressed this is a lie, they didn't really do this, but they pressed the no spoilers button, and it got rid of, like, the people and the structures and the buildings and stuff, so you couldn't, like, see stuff ahead of time for the original Breath of the Wild. In this trailer, we also see no civilizations, no races, no nothing like that, right? I think it's just to avoid spoilers. I think that's just it. I think there's just, like, there's something new about it, therefore they are not showing us. Past Zonai arm link, this thing, if you remember the concept art, right? Like, that's attached to somebody, and that person is clearly supposed to be Link. If this is Zelda, that's clearly supposed to be Link, right? That's supposed to be Ganon/Ganondorf, whatever, right? Or just Ganon in this case. So this is clearly Ancient Link's arm, because it like moves later. That's what I mean by, there is definitely two Links. Well, debatable. There's clearly two Links, kind of, maybe. Whether or not this is like a cyclical time thing and this ends up being our Link, like back in time, like as like a cycle, I don't know. But this is clearly a Link's arm, right? Whether it's an ancestor Link, reincarnation, the old, whatever the backwards aspect of reincarnation is, right? Like the old version of Link. This is a Link arm. At some point, this Ancient Link arm grabs onto our current Link, and then current Link gets that arm. But again, I think we are the same Link throughout the entire game, and that's also why I was like, maybe time travel is involved, but I don't know, right? But for the most part, all the gameplay we've seen so far has been in the present day, or at least post-Calamity. I still don't believe it's Link in the Tapestry, but who do you think it would be? Could he possibly... what I'm saying is he's the Link analog. Like, his name might be Blink. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the Link analog. It's his role. So, for instance, in the Tapestry of the Champions, they don't look like the champion, but it's their analogs, right? Like, it's like ancient version of champions, but they play the same role. So, like, that's, I guess, what I mean. Is it's the Courage Man. I'm the Courage Man. That's him. But what I mean is, like, it's the stand-in for Link, whether it's Link or not. Now that we think this is the past Tapestry person, right? What is up with his red hair? That's the mystery. We are clearly mimicking the past or reliving the past, right? So we either go back in time to, like, recreate this, or we're recreating this in modern day, which I think I feel a little bit more comfortable about. Although I think we might still travel back in time, like at the end is like the twist or something. Why does this Link have red hair? Well, there's multiple scenarios where that can be the case. One, it's not Link. It's his analog, right? So if you look at the champions in this Tapestry, which we're not zoomed out on because it's the only screenshot I have at the moment, they don't look like the champions. Like, no one looks like Rivali, right? It's like some other... There's like a guy with a pot for a head, like a guardian head. So, like, the champions don't look exactly the same. In Breath of the Wild 1, when you get the only Zonai gear, it has like a red headdress. So it could just be Link with a red headdress. Or that red headdress could be based on the guy with the red hair in this Tapestry, right? There's a lot of different things it could be. It could be that if you go back to here, at the very beginning, Link gets corrupted. Ooh, the malice is grabbing hold of him. Ooh, maybe he goes, maybe at the end, he goes like Super Saiyan. And then that's how he fights Ganondorf. Like, maybe his hair just turns red at the end. Because, like, it's clearly the Link analog. And he's getting some malice all up on him. I cannot, like, I'm joking, but, like, I can't actually rule that out. I would put my bet on the Tapestry being a bit inaccurate. That's what I mean. Is it? Yeah, totally. I mean, it already is inaccurate. First of all, if we're fighting Ganondorf, this is not Ganondorf. This is Ganon. This is Ganon. It's already inaccurate. Right? It's already inaccurate. Also, I don't think she's going to be in her outfit again. She already did that. I think she might do those powers again, but she's going to be... Like, she doesn't have long hair anymore. Right? This is already inaccurate. This is, like, they're clearly, like, he's got his Zonai stuff going on with this. But this is already filled with inaccuracies, so he just might never get red hair. There's also the Divine Beasts is what I was looking for. The Divine Beasts are in the corner. Like, they're probably not as necessary this time around, right? So, like, there is, like, if you only pay attention to the things that you want to pay attention to, then you can, you know what I mean? Like, you have to ignore all the other inconsistencies to be like, well, this is inconsistent. Do you know what I mean? Now, I still think red hair is important. I think there is an aspect of truth to that. But, like, this really is just plain old inaccurate at this point. Well, it was accurate to the last game, but, like, we can't totally go off this anymore. I think the best we can take from this is that the thing that happened 10,000 years ago or whatever is like repeating. Like we're referencing this moment. I think that's more of like what's going on. We're undoing what they solved with this, right? I think that's really, if I had to guess what the reverse audio thing is, it's more like, oh, you're undoing the events of 10,000 years ago. Does that make sense? It's reversing, right? It never was solved because all we did was like pause Ganon. And so we're like reversing it. That's what I really truly feel. But again, we're not in the business of confirming or denying. Here's another thing. If this is the same link, this link right here, if this link is the same as this link, why are they not showing this link's face? What is different about this link's face? I don't think time in a significant way, like years, because it's the same length of hair, right? I don't think time has changed. Time travel might have happened, but if you remember, there is still the ruins, so this is still post-calamity. Why aren't they showing his face? And what I think it is I think his face is corrupted with the Zonai arm, and showing that would mean, like, would give away, like, kind of the concept of the game, which is that as time goes on, he becomes more corrupted. I think his arm is slowly corrupting him. I think, like, the more powers you get, the more you, like, upgrade, the more you, like, juice up, the more jacked up your hand gets. I think, like, his face is gonna be, like, maybe, like, one of his eyes is, like, green now or something. Or, yeah, or, like, there's some combination of Malice and the green stuff, because his same arm gets jacked up by Malice as well. Okay, so people think we're gonna, like, go back in time. I think just like the original Breath of the Wild, we will learn about the original events by interacting with the present day leftovers of them. When we're in the Zonai area, that's where Link gets his Zonai outfits, right? Those stuff that we see in the trailer. This outfit and stuff like that, I think we grab this outfit as we complete shrines in this area. If you remember, that looks like an entrance to a shrine. And then if you go a little bit forward, this thing, it looks like it's inside of one of them. And that looks like it's seen some crud. It looks like no one lives there no more. I got a big worm there instead. So I think we're definitely interacting with this after the fact. That does not mean there aren't people still alive living around and stuff like that, like a race in the sky. I bet there will be. But it looks like we're definitely interacting with stuff that's like long been beat up and ransacked. I think we're gonna be still looking, we're still gonna be rediscovering the past. I think that's, because if you think about it, if we go back and everything is like we either have to go so far back, or like, we're not going to interact, I don't think gameplay-wise, we're going to interact with a modern life of some thing. Because the point is discovering stuff. So if you have modern life and everyone's just like, here's the answers, we're alive, let me tell you about, you know, like, here's, there's nothing to discover because we can just talk to you, you know what I mean? Like, the point of Breath of the Wild is to discover stuff. You know, unearth stuff, find the mystery. If everyone's alive and kicking, there's no mystery to solve, right? Okay, what's next? Oh yeah, I think Link's outfit is just stuff you find in the shrine. So like right there in the top right, that's just like a shrine entrance, right? Like I think you are literally going, like you go down an elevator in the shrines, you go up through the drip elevator, and then you start at a shrine. And so I think his outfit is just like stuff you get in this area. He's just wearing the local outfit. Oh yeah, so this is, I mentioned this earlier, but this game was originally DLC for Breath of the Wild, which means all of these things have seeds planted in the original game because this was supposed to be originally a part of the original game. So there are a lot of aspects of this that you can find in the original game. In the very first, here, hold on. In the very first trailer ever, you know, Aonu talks about it, I'm talking about it, and then I got some grass behind me. Oh, look at the grass. What if the grass suddenly turned into a trailer? Hold on, so this is like before, like these are fake. This section, like I think this section kind of exists, but it doesn't have like any of the the rock placement and stuff like that. Like, I think that's like, I think you can find kind of an area that looks similar to this, but generally this is fake. In fact, I think there's like people in here, like right here. Here's some people that like don't exist in the final game. So this is super early, super early. And then it turns into a trailer, right? And then Link runs. I'm on a horse, and there's a guardian, right? So this is like before they've really even solidified the final look of the game. And right here are Zonai Ruins. Like, we have Zonai Ruins all the way at the beginning. So the seeds of this game have been planted since like the earliest days, 2014. They were thinking about Zonai Ruins, right? That is almost 10 years ago. There are so many seeds in Breath of the Wild 1 that lead to this game. This game is basically gigantic DLC, right? That's why they're bringing back so many concepts, like the parasail with the tassels in the back, the robo arm. Did I delete that? I did delete that. I'm stupid. There is a lot of this hinted in the first game. Another guess is that this is a guess, so do not, or take this with a gigantic grain of salt, okay? A gigantic grain of salt. Link and Zelda look almost interchangeable here, okay? Zelda looks very adventure ready, but it's clear they kind of get rid of Zelda. Zelda in this trailer, like, she gets the bad end of the stick, right? She like falls so far down that it might be that like that's how they get rid of Zelda, so you're only playing as Link. Like, clearly in this trailer you're just Link, right? There is no Zelda. So I was like, that's so weird that they would redesign Zelda only for her to be like redesigned adventure Zelda when everybody wants to play as Zelda, only for her to like peace out right when the game starts, right? So I think this is a big I think. This is like a 10% correct, or this is like a 10% chance of happening. I think there's a chance that at the beginning of the game you can just choose one or the other. So like, if you choose Zelda, Link falls down a giant hole. If you choose Link, Zelda falls down a giant hole. And then otherwise the game is just the same. It's just you're either Link or Zelda. I think there's a chance. The only complication I can see in that is Zelda talks and Link doesn't. Like, Zelda would talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, whenever she'd be like, whoa! You know what I mean? Like, this is a troublesome situation, you know? I think that's the only thing that makes me, like, think that's not gonna happen. We're in the speculative section of my analysis, so this is no longer, like factual, right? This is like, let's just say things and have no consequences. In full denial mode, why would they redesign Zelda to be very adventure-y if she wasn't gonna, if she was, 5 minutes into the game gonna fall down a pit, right? So, I'm kind of hoping that at the beginning of the game, since they look so similar and interchangeable as is, if you can just like, like in Super Smash Brothers Brawl, when like two characters show up and then you like their little cursor and you can like, do I want to play as you or do I want to play as you? I'm kind of hoping you could just choose one or the other. You can be like, all right, I'm Zelda this time. Link, have fun in the pit. You know what I mean? Like, that's full denial mode. Full denial mode. Because, like, the last trailer just shows Zelda, like, having a rough day. Where are you? Where's Zelda having a rough day? There she goes. Goodbye, Zelda. So, I mean, like, there's what I was going through is there's multiple outcomes, right? Like, clearly Zelda's gonna be fine in some regard, right? If she dies, we're gonna solve that by going through time or finding the cure for falling too far, right? Or she wakes up and she discovers something down there, or something, right? Like, Zelda's gonna be fine at some point, whether it's the end of the game, an hour later, 10 minutes later. We only have seen like 2 minutes of the game, right? So there's so many opportunities for Zelda to come back. That being said, we're clearly spending the time without Zelda, right? Like, we're adventuring without Zelda. So we're only playing one character. So that's why I was like, okay, they're fully aware we want to play Zelda. Like, they're very aware we want to play Zelda. And they redesigned her to look all adventure-y. I'm super curious if they just made it so, like, at the beginning... Because they're like side by side at the beginning. I'm super curious if you could just be like, I'm gonna be Zelda. Goodbye, Link. And Link falls down the pit.